evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm John Webster. I'll be your host this evening. We're missing one of my partners here today, Garrett Graves, who is out on assignment. Breaking story in Kentucky today. Medina Spirit has been disqualified and is no longer the Kentucky Derby winner. Gary is hot on the path on that story, and we look to hear from him next week to hear more about it. Our producer, John Pitt, is here. Thanks for everything, John. And hey, how you doing?
Doing good, man. It's a beautiful day in D.C., and we got a special guest.
Our special guest, man. This is an absolute pleasure for me. This is a longtime friend, a very dear friend, and he is one of the best in the world of basketball. My dear friend, Brad Pinchback. Thanks for coming on the Daily Deuce today, Pinch.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you.
Man, we go a long way back, man, back to when you and me had hair and afros. So we go a long...
Fox kids.
We go a long way back. Hey, Pitt, we played together at Atlanta Boys and Girls Club, won a county championship over there with Pinch as our center. One of the best in the county back then. A center, bigger than everybody. Ended up becoming one of the best small forward and guards in PG and Montgomery County. Awesome player. Awesome. Man, Pinch, after you had a successful Boys and Girls Club, you went over to Robert Goddard, you played in middle school, right? How did that go for you?
It went well, man. I was, I believe, the youngest player on the team that year. We actually, and Mike Powell was recently reminding me of this, we actually lost our first 4 games of the year.
Wow.
And at that point, we didn't lose anymore.
What turned it around?
And we didn't lose anymore.
What turned it around?
You know, I think guys just got to know each other. We had some really good players, and Mike is quick to mention that I was, you know, the only guy for that team to get a college basketball scholarship. Mm-hmm. But there were 2 guys, like our best player, you know, unfortunately, you know our area. Unfortunately, Clint Curry was killed. He was shot and killed. Mm-hmm. Nobody we played against that I can remember was better than that kid.
Yeah, he was a baller.
I mean, they were, you know, this is the old days. Mm-hmm. So, you know, these guys were in 9th grade. So, you know, like I say, it was a little different day as compared to today where the middle schools go to 8th grade.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of my teammates were 16 years old. I was 13. So, you know, that's how that was going. But, you know, I mean, I ended up playing a prominent role there. So, and my coach really wanted me to come back as a 9th grader. But by then, you know, people had, you know, they were talking to me at DeMatha High School.
So you decided to become a Stag and wear the red and blue?
I was already wearing red and blue when I was at Robert Goddard.
Well, I mean, you went over to DeMatha for, I think, was it your 9th grade year you were over there?
I was there 9th and 10th grade.
9th and 10th grade, you played over there.
Basketball. And my grades slipped. Listen to the kids. My grades really slipped sophomore year at DeMatha. And you know my dad well. He was not having that. So he pulled me, and I was back in public school. And we just kind of went from there. Went to Duval, and we finished up over in Montgomery County at Walter Johnson.
We're going to come to Walter Johnson. We're going to come to that one in a second because that's a special story right there. But let's talk about Duval a little bit because you went over to Duval. You played with your 11th grade year. You were playing with Don Juan, Kevin Doc Nelson, Derek Eaglin. I think Dane Napolitano was on that team.
John Watkins.
And let me say this about John. Let me just say I missed it last week, and I want to offer my condolences to the Watkins family on the passing of John. I know he was one of your teammates and really, really one of the better players around PG County for football and basketball.
And basketball, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt.
So you were playing over at Duval. You had a lot of talent there. You had another dear friend of mine, Doc Nelson, running the show over there. So tell me a little bit about that 11th grade year.
That 11th grade year, we were ranked in the Washington Post most of that year.
Mm-hmm.
We had a real nice squad. I mean, we were deep, we were talented, we were athletic. You know, we shot the ball pretty well. Like you said, Doc Nelson ran the show. We ended up losing out to Thurl Bailey and Bladensburg. Bladensburg started 4 small guards with Thurl Bailey. Willie Swearinger was one of the guards. I don't remember.
Pinch, how about this, Pinch? Willie Swearinger, Paul Bullock, Leon Turner, and Charles Mills.
Paul Bullock, I remember that. But yeah, you know, it's a lot of time has passed since then, man. So
I was there that night. Dad and I went to see y'all because we saw y'all play against Potomac and went down there and y'all beat Potomac conventionally at Potomac. And that's saying something to do that down there. And then you came and you ran into Bladensburg. No shame to lose to them. Wasn't nobody at PG County beating Bladensburg those 2 years that Thurl Bailey was on the varsity team. Nobody was really getting past. There's no shame losing to them. No shame, but.
So in that case, you remember the lob.
Huh?
You remember the lob.
The lob?
The lob that I caught over Thurl.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hey, man. That dude was tall.
Yes. You know, as they say, he was a tall water.
Yeah, I'm surprised they threw it, honestly.
Yeah. But you always had hops, Pinch, so you just kept going to get it. So it you know, hey, what can you say? Then that senior year. And Pitt, I'm going to tell you this story real quick. Pitt started his senior year over at Duval, and they were going to have another really good team again because John Watkins was back over there. Dan Napolitano was back. Pinch was back. Stanley Mills was over there, I think. Ronnie Minor was over there. They were going to have a really, really good team that year. So we won't go into it. We'll just say there were a couple challenges over there with coaching and seeing things.
Coaching challenge.
Yeah, it was coaching challenge. But here's the funny thing I'll tell you, and I don't remember you remember this, Pinch. You and I used to talk at least once a week on the phone when we were in high school. And you and I were very good friends. And absolutely. I remember you said to me, I'll never forget, you said, John, I'm leaving Duval. I said, what? I'm leaving Duval. I said, okay, where are you going? John, I can't tell you that. Well, Pinch, you tell me everything else. How come you can't tell me? You remember that phone call? And I stayed on the phone with you 15 minutes saying, Pinch, you're not going to tell me where you're going? John, you're just going to have to see like everybody. Pinch, you tell me. Who am I going to tell? Come on, Pinch, you've done told me you're leaving. What else? I mean, you even said, John, don't tell nobody I'm leaving because nobody can know that. I said, okay, so where you going? I can't tell you that. How can you tell me half the story and not tell me the whole story, Pinch? How? Man.
Hey, man, you know, I don't know what was going through my mind at that point, but obviously, you know, if it was like that and I didn't tell you, it was probably, I probably had a halfway decent reason, at least in my mind.
Well, I know the reason, and his name was Mr. Pinchback, and it was supposed to stay quiet. And hey, you followed his instructions. It stayed quiet because if I didn't know, nobody knew. But go ahead. You went over to Walter Johnson,
yes.
And Pinch. I was so happy for you. Tell us about this. It was a whirlwind. You guys were on fire over at Walter Johnson. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the three of y'all. It was the big three before the big three even started.
There it was. There it was. Great opportunity to play with Al McKinney and Tony Rodriguez. For those not familiar with Al McKinney, I mean, I know a lot of Montgomery County people are familiar with him, but you know, Al played at Vanderbilt. Al was an All-American in high school. Believe he was a second team All-Met.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't first team All-Met, but he was second team All-Met.
Correct.
But ended up having, you know, a pretty nice career at Vanderbilt University. I mean, we definitely used to watch his game, definitely used to follow him. Tony Rodriguez was really good too. I don't know that people really realize how good that kid was. You know, like you're talking about a 5'11" point guard, originally from Spain. A lot of people don't understand this either. Tony was only 16 when he graduated. Only 16 when he graduated. And at 5'11", I've seen Tony dunk the ball with his right hand and dunk the ball with his left hand.
Wow.
So, I mean, that ain't bad for 5'11". That's some pretty good hops. Shot it well, both him and Al. You know, we were probably a big away from going further.
If I remember correctly, you got to the regional final. You were one game away from Cole Fieldhouse.
That is correct. That is correct. You know, shout out to Ron Matthews and that crew over at Rockville that year.
Yeah, y'all were tough, and I was reading about y'all in the paper every Wednesday and Saturday morning after Tuesday night, Friday night games. You know, and it's funny how things work out. Duval that year ended up with I think 8 or 9 wins. They didn't go very far in the playoffs. Matter of fact, I don't think they made the playoffs that year. But you moved on and you went over to Walter Johnson, worked out well for you. After Walter Johnson, you went to Trinidad State for a bit, JUCO, and then after that you went to IUP. So how did that work out for you?
I thought it worked out pretty well. Obviously, you know, a lot of injuries at IUP. You know, but I will tell you this, my sophomore year at Trinidad, a lot of magic there, man. I mean, you know, you win 31 ball games. That pulls the team together. We were 31-3. We were nationally ranked for Division I JUCOs. We were the best. That's the winningest team in Hall of Fame coach Jim Topol's career.
Really?
And, you know, we had some greats there. Got to use this time to, you know, shout out to Spencer Haywood. But Spencer Haywood is our all-time great. Having, you know, opened the doors for guys to go straight to the NBA, guys to go straight to the pros. Challenged it in the courts. I mean, he's a basketball Hall of Famer, but I don't think it's mentioned enough what his contribution to the game.
Sure, he is absolutely one of the best. Absolutely, and he was, in my opinion, like the Kurt Flood of the NBA, where he came in, he challenged things, and he was able to get into the NBA. I think off a hardship case as well. So.
Kurt Flood.
Yeah, he was a Kurt Flood of the NBA, in my opinion.
Then we had a couple guys I played with. Well, what brought our team together, man? I think we had 5 guys, with DC area guys. You know, I've had that conversation with the current coach out there, you know, who reached out, you know, found out what I was doing, and we've talked about that team because he wants to open up that DC area pipeline again. Me and Roy Johnson knew each other before we went out there. So that was instant chemistry.
Yeah.
Like I say, that sophomore year was kind of magical because anybody could do it for us. I mean, we were that deep. We probably averaged over 100. So we played a very fast-paced game. Operated out of a secondary break most of the time. But when we had to run offense, we could do that too.
Wow.
So, and defensively, I mean, we were all over that floor, man. Trapping, just causing havoc. I didn't find this out till recently, John. I'm about 6'3", but I was working at a gym training players, and there were these other fitness and athletic performance trainers, and they were just curious. And one time they laid me down and measured my wingspan, and I literally had no idea my wingspan was going to be that much longer than my height.
Yeah. You're always a long arm, long legged rascal. Always. So.
I had no idea. I mean, it shocked me as well, but I guess they saw me, walking around, and they just figured, oh man, this guy's long. Let's measure his wingspan. I mean, who does that? How does that come up?
But you mentioned two things that it's a nice segue to. You mentioned about Trinidad trying to start a pipeline back here with kids, and then you also mentioned these scouts checking you out in your wingspan. And what better way to swing into what you do now, which is Brad Pinchback basketball. You are basically an NCAA certified scout and trainer, and you are par excellence, one of the best in the Washington metropolitan area. I mean, you have kids. I had one of your kids, Pinch, that worked this summer over with us at the rec department. Absolutely wonderful kid, Jordan Reed. And that I'm thinking you told me he's getting ready to reach 1,000 points, right?
Nah, he's already passed it.
He's already passed 1,000.
He's already passed 1,000. Honestly, I feel like Jordan will get, his future. He'll get an opportunity to play professionally overseas. Just having a really, really good career at Wheeling University. He plays in that Mountain East Conference there. He's been all Mountain East Conference 2 years in a row. He'll be all Mountain East Conference again this year. Hopefully, knock on wood, he'll make all Mountain East first team this year because he's been all Mountain East second team 2 years in a row. So we're wishing the best for him. But I got him when he was a JV kid at Albert Einstein High School.
Really?
Don, hold up. You started high school kind of short. What was your height? Because you grew too. You grew significantly. Do you remember how tall you were when you started high school? You're a point guard.
Yeah, what was I? Coming up on 5 feet. Maybe 5'2", 5'3". I guess.
Jordan was definitely shorter than you. Jordan grew a foot in high school.
Really?
But he was just injured. He could never complete a season. He was just injured all the time.
Wow.
And this, senior year, he finally played like most of a season, and he was just killing everybody. He was taller. Plus, when I first got Jordan, he didn't show that level of athleticism. This dude was doing windmills and 360s. I mean, you've seen him on on social media. It was some guy that kept featuring it on the year of the COVID. It was just all kind of stuff about him. He would play Kevin Holston one-on-one. They used to play at BCC, played Division I ball, I believe, at Alabama State. For a while, they would feature that. There was all these features of him dunking the ball.
He would come to work, because he played down Berry Farms. So in the league down there. So he would come to work. Mr. Webb, man, let me show you what I did. Let me show you this dunk. Man.
That's him. I'm so confident now The kid's really come up. I love his growth as a player, and it just shows, what you can do if you stay committed. Now, not every kid is going to grow a foot,
No.
but I mean, it's not like he's some super giant now. Between 6'1" and 6'2". He's very skilled, and he's very athletic.
Well, let me ask you this, Pinch. Let me ask you this. This Brad Pinchback basketball is very successful. What made you get into this, Pinch? What drove you to make you want to work with these kids, develop them? It's hundreds, literally hundreds of kids that I know you have helped and you work with. What made you decide to do this?
I'm glad you asked me that. Because maybe a month or two, maybe 2 months ago, I ran into Coach Lombardi, who's the head coach of IUP basketball. And he knew what I was involved in. Like he had been following me. Like he knew everything I was involved in. And he asked myself to come down while we were there, but we talked about all of this. I was actually doing that, to make a couple of bucks here and there while I was in school. And there was 3 players I worked out. I'm talking about while I was still a player. 2 of them became college players. One of them is one of IUP's best all time. Like, she actually mentioned me in her Hall of Fame speech when she was inducted into the Athletic Hall.
Wow.
And sent me a copy of that speech. Shout out to Leah Simmons is her name, Simmons. But yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. I never, honestly, since college, I've been doing this off and on since then.
Yeah, okay.
But I decided to do it full time about 15 years ago.
Okay. So how long? So Brad Pinchback basketball has been around for 15 years?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. And where do you train your kids at?
Primarily out of Montgomery County.
Any particular location? Because let's give a shout out to where you do it at.
I use a center in Rockville called the Made to Perform Center in Rockville.
Okay.
And use a private home with a gym in it.
Okay.
I'm not going to put them out there.
That's fine.
They actually live there. So I'll give a shout.
Do I know them?
No, I don't think you do, but I believe you've seen their son play.
What school?
Well, he played, initially he was at St. Andrews. Then he transferred his senior year to play at Walt Whitman High School. He was their leading scorer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, I know. Okay, don't put the name out there. Yeah, seen it. Yeah.
You might be more familiar with me talking about his cousin. And right now she is one of 15 players that's on the Becky Hammond Mid-Major College Player of the Year, Mid-Major Division I College Player of the Year. She's on that watch list.
Okay.
She's currently the leading scorer in the Ivy League. One of the leading scorers in the country.
All right, name some of these other kids you've worked out with, man. You got some 1,000-point scores in high school and college right now that you've worked with, right?
Absolutely. And
who you got?
Some guys that are playing overseas pro as well.
Okay.
Obviously, when I'm the guy that has the biggest name that I've ever worked out with would probably be, and that the young kids would recognize their name, would be Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson Jr. Denver Nuggets, right?
As a very young kid.
No, sir, not Denver Nuggets. What was it? Memphis Grizzlies.
Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Yeah. He a lot of people don't realize he used to live in Maryland. He lived in Maryland for a while. I guess probably till it was time for him to go to high school.
And his daddy, if everybody doesn't know, his daddy was who?
Jaren Jackson Sr.
Who played for who?
Georgetown, and played in the NBA for years. San Antonio Spurs was one of his stops in the NBA. Great player in his own right. In fact, I ran into Jaron Sr. at the airport in Memphis. I was still coaching then, and we had a tournament that we had to play in Memphis. And I'm at the airport waiting for my flight, and who walks in but Jaron Sr.
Wow.
So, we ended up talking for about a half an hour before my flight.
Now, also a Brad Pinchback basketball, I know you didn't do it last year, but you have done in the past a Christmas tournament, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to say a holiday tournament, the correct term, holiday tournament.
Holiday invitational, yes.
So how many teams have you brought into this?
Ooh. Well, it started out very local. And I only had a boys' side. We eventually added a girls' side as well. But what I was trying to do was have 2 Montgomery County teams, a PG County team, and a private school team. And do it that way. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. I got to give props to Bladensburg. I was so happy when they decided to be in the tournament. Like, I was like, because I knew that they were going to be really good. And I knew that there would probably be a time when Richard Montgomery, at that time, was one of the higher ranked Montgomery County schools. And Bladensburg, obviously, they were both ranked in the Washington Post. And they ended up meeting each other. Obviously, it was the first game. I probably would have preferred to have them meet in the championship. But I like the championship just like it was, because it was Sherwood High School in Montgomery County. And they upset Bladensburg, led by actually one of my clients, Davis Long, that plays at the University of Delaware now. But they also had Walt Williams' son, Kamari.
Okay.
Yeah, Kamari Williams was playing for them.
Okay.
And so, they had a good team. Sherwood had done well in the tournament before. Actually, you know what? Kamari was already at St. Andrews by then. Kamari played the first year. He didn't play that year that they played Bladensburg. But Davis ended up winning the MVP of the whole tournament. So a lot of people get on me. They say, oh, your client won the MVP, but the coaches selected the MVP. The coaches selected the all-tournament team and the MVPs. I had nothing to do with those selections, but I was definitely happy for Davis. Davis had a really, really good junior year.
Wow.
So, I was happy that for their success and all of that, and really grateful for Bladensburg for making the trip and coming down. And
so who are some of your up and coming kids that you're working with right now? I don't want to single anybody out. You don't have to call them by name, but maybe just tell us a little bit about some of these kids that you got working out now who maybe we need to be on the lookout for.
All right. I don't want to put him out there like that, but the kid is nationally ranked.
Okay.
And he's a younger kid. 7th grade. We've been working together for a few years now. He's featured on my Instagram. Never mentioned that he was nationally ranked, but he's doing well. He's always played up, always worked hard at the game. If you knew his schedule, say on days when he doesn't have school, if you knew his schedule, his basketball schedule, you would think his dad was crazy. But the kid wants to put the work in like that, and he's enjoying it. So, he's going to be a good one. I mean, one thing we do know is, his dad was 6'11", high major D1 player. The one thing we know about his kid is he's going to grow.
Don't say much more. We'll be able to figure out who it is, Pinch. Don't say much more.
I guarantee you, people in the Montgomery County area, they already know who I'm talking about just by what I already said.
I know.
So he's up and coming. I have a young lady out of Pittsburgh who's playing varsity on a highly regarded, we'll give them their name, Chartiers Valley. Her older sister is the starting point guard now. She's a freshman. She's worked with me. I've also, you'll remember this name, John, Julius Page. They used to play for Pitt, put up about 1,400 at University of Pittsburgh. His daughter has come down and worked out a couple of times.
So you have people come to Brad Pinchback basketball, not only from the DMV, but you have them coming out of state, right? Not just from Virginia, Maryland, and DC. You got them coming out of state to come see you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also I've worked with people that are from China and South Africa. Worked with two whole teams with that came up from South Africa. Now that wasn't helping somebody else out with that, but it was just me and him, basically training two South African teams.
Wow. And where have they gone? Have any of these kids from South Africa and China, are they playing collegiately anywhere? What are they doing now, any of these kids?
I'm not so sure about the South Africa. I know with the Pittsburgh kids that have come down here, which there are 6, the only one of them that hasn't signed to a scholarship is the 9th grader. You know,
really?
And she's going to sign at some point. She projects to be that type of player. She, like I say, her older sister has already committed to Northeastern University.
Wow.
Julius Page's daughter has already committed to Columbia.
Wow.
You know, Colin Cody is playing for University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown. So he's playing in the same conference that I ended up playing in.
Yeah. Hey,
who else I have from there? Oh, Haley Sable. You remember the name Sable, right?
Yes.
That's Mike Sable's daughter. He used to play for Georgetown.
Really?
She's at Yale. And she's starting to get more playing time as well. She's coming off the bench right now. This is her, like a lot of people that came in her class, this is her first year playing college basketball because the Ivy League shut everything down during COVID. So she's a sophomore, but this is actually her first year playing college basketball.
So, Pinch, your list is long, man, and it's just not enough time, man. I'm so excited talking to you. Just not enough time. One thing I want to do, Pinch, I got to show people, hey, you want to go to basketball development? You want to get somebody to train you in basketball? Go to the best. Go to Brad Pinchback basketball. You see that? Go to Brad Pinchback basketball. Wasn't able to put it on today, have my Notre Dame gear on. You all know I love Notre Dame. But Pinch, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to talk to me. You've been a dear friend to me for, man, 40, almost 50 years, man. You know, and we've seen a lot of stuff together, man. Had a lot of fun together. I'm so happy for you, so proud of you. Keep up the great things you're doing. Anything that we can do to help you, please let me know. Okay. Send me some information so I can get it out to other people so they can know about Brad Pinchback basketball, okay? With that being said, everybody, thank you for joining the Daily Deuce. We had another great show. Look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a great time, watch some sports, and have a lot of fun. Take care. Bye.